Hi everyone, it's Lindsay with High Altitude Astrology, and today I'm bringing you the chart of the spring equinox. Today's date is March 20th, 2022, and the spring equinox occurred at 9:33 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, just a little while ago. And I wanted to discuss the significance of this time, which happens once a year. It is when the sun moves into the sign of Aries. And really, it's symbolic of the return of the light becoming longer in the day as opposed to shorter. And that's what the equinox is symbolic of. The nights, have become equal to the length of the days. And from here on out, in the northern hemisphere, the days will start getting longer and more light will return. And symbolically, that has a lot to do with the return of our own internal light, our own spirit, our own creative self-expression. So it's also connected with the symbology of rebirth, fertility, and new beginnings. So this is a great time to spend some time in self-reflection over the next couple of days and inviting yourself to tune into your own internal energy, to tune into your intuition, to tune into your internal guidance system. That's really what this spring equinox is about. Because if you think about Aries, it's this first sign of the zodiac. So really this is like the astrological new year. And it's about Aries, about moving forth, bursting forth. Kind of when you think of like some kind of flower bulb, just pushing through the dirt. This is that energy that we get with the equinox. It's about really reconnecting with that desire and that drive to shine our light, the solar nature, our purpose, our identity, through that self-expression of the Aries ram, charging forth. So really the main thing I want to point out about this chart that you see up here, you can see here the sun is at 0 degrees of Aries. But I also wanted to show you that Mercury and Jupiter are very close in a conjunction. They're almost, they're less than a degree apart. And tomorrow morning, the 21st, very early at 12:06 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, they will actually conjunct in the sign of Pisces. And Mercury has to do with our thinking faculty, making, logic, reasoning. And Jupiter has to do with making things bigger, expanding, growing. It has to do with philosophical understanding and perspective. So when these two are working together, it's going to be a time where we might have some kind of larger understanding or insight about our lives, about how we want to expand and grow in our lives. And they are meeting in the sign of Pisces. And there's been a lot of activity in Pisces recently. The sun has just moved out of Pisces at this equinox time, so that's different. But we have Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune still there in the sign of Pisces. And we just had a new moon in Pisces back at the beginning of the month. So Pisces energy is about being compassionate and being empathetic. It's a watery, emotional energy. It's the last sign of the zodiac. So symbolically, it represents like having worked through all the other signs. And it's this very sort of all-encompassing, very, I'm feeling like wide arms open acceptance of everything. It's also what you might consider like the void. So it's that it's that emptiness, that unknowingness, where then things can come forth. That's why it's symbolic of imagination, of dreaming. So these are all Pisces qualities. Pisces is very spiritual. It's about transcendence. It's about moving beyond the ego into this more almost ego-less state of being. That's why it's connected with things like spirituality and meditation and transcendence. It's also very intuitive because it is a water energy, so it feels. That's how it navigates. That's why the symbol is the two fishes moving in different directions, because they're responding to the tides and the flow of emotion. Other keywords for Pisces: helpfulness, charitability and devotion, romance and idealism. And I just want to go off on the romance bit for a second, because we've also just recently had Venus here in Aquarius at 13 degrees squaring Uranus at 12 degrees. And that is symbolic of some kind of change in the relationship dynamics that we might be experiencing. So with this, because that is what Uranus is all about, it's the great disruptor, it's the shocking change energy, and Venus rules relationship energy. Venus also rules creativity, so this could be some sort of insight around creative expression. But going back to this Mercury-Jupiter time in Pisces in relationship to that Venus squared Uranus, we could be dealing with some kind of change that's coming up in the area of relationship. And now with the Mercury and Jupiter coming together in Pisces, we could be having some understanding and allowing of that information to kind of permeate and come into our awareness more, which is a positive thing. Now, what can happen with Pisces as well is other key words are dreaminess, dependence, vagueness, confusion, self-destruction, and martyrdom. Because it can be so open-hearted and so wanting to just transcend and be egoless, that the shadow side is getting caught or allowing ourselves to sort of be persuaded or to want to not look at things clearly. So we might idealize and sort of create a projection of some sort of imaginative idea of the way we think things are, when in reality it's different. So these are just the kind of the pitfalls of Pisces. And so the positive thing, though, is that Jupiter in Pisces is very comfortable. Jupiter used to rule Pisces before Neptune was discovered. So what this is suggesting is that Jupiter can operate in a positive way in the sign of Pisces. So really with Jupiter, it's about, being optimistic and being forward thinking and being willing to kind of have a bigger vision. And in the sign of Pisces, again, it's of course through being empathetic and understanding, but again, avoiding, the pitfalls of feeling confused or idealistic. But see, with Jupiter, it wants to move forward in life. It's the archer. This is Sagittarius, the sign that Jupiter rules, is the archer shooting its bow out into the unknown. So Jupiter really, which is also a mutable sign, wants to expand. It wants to grow. It wants to move forward, especially in the realm of like new ways of understanding things. So in a way, it's kind of helping this Mercury in Pisces right now, giving it a little bit of a boost of being willing to kind of have a larger picture about things and look at things from a new perspective, and really to stay positive, even in the midst of what might feel like some, challenging changes that we might be going through at this time. So I want to end this video with a beautiful reading that I found. And I wanted to share about the significance of the spring equinox, which is the name of this article, by a woman named Chloe Rain, because I feel she very eloquently expresses what the spiritual significance of the spring equinox is all about for all of us. And this is what she writes. Vernal, meaning of the spring, new and fresh, and equinox, derived from the Latin equus, meaning equal, and nox, meaning night. On the vernal equinox, we experience a balance of the day and night, equal amounts of light and dark on the same day. The vernal equinox marks the turning point when daylight begins to overtake the darkness and the North Pole begins to lean in towards the sun again. This is the time of year when we begin to experience more life force creative energy within our minds and body. As the darkness diminishes and the light increases, you may feel a building of imaginative and creative energy, perhaps a lifting of the fog and a dropping of the sleepy blanket that you've been curled up in for the past few months of winter. In the darkest months of the year, we are encouraged by the energies to go within and be in silence of inner darkness or death. Where we go wrong is in fearing that our inner world has gone dark and that the light will not return. Just as the whole world turns on its axis and brings about the return of the light turn after turn, we can rely on the return of our own light and energy and richness of our internal garden. It's difficult to trust that your life has purpose and meaning even when you're not being productive. But it is the rhythms and cycles of Earth that show us and encourage us to rest in darkness and allow for the light to unfold and to help us blossom without forcing or making things happen. Often we may feel confused, restless, stuck, or even powerless to change our mindset and state of being. The return of the light presents us with an opportunity to take the time to release our fears and surrender into new intentions of ourselves. Most of us live our lives so disconnected from our internal guidance that when the pull of our hearts becomes so strong and the voice inside us has been muffled for so long, the feeling that arises within us feels more like a life crisis than an emergence into something more beautiful. Now is a time of celebrating the freshness of life and of taking the time to raise our energy to regenerate abundance and manifest our dreams. And she says, I would invite you to do something symbolic to honor your life in the next few days. Perhaps light a candle and say a blessing for your life and the life force living in your body. Make a commitment to go within and be silent each day to let your internal guidance know that you are listening and to intend to have open lines of communication from here on out. Let your inner voice know that she is in fact a very important role in your life and you're going to be listening a lot more and intend to be in joy. When we shift into wonder and curiosity, there's an opening to a deeper wisdom. Our power is a shift from the perspective where not knowing could be seen as weakness or being powerless to a new way of being where wonder and curiosity are the ultimate source of power and strength. Connecting with our deeper desires does not involve knowing the answers to all of our questions, because it's only in not knowing that we can be truly receptive, and it's only in being receptive that we can truly discover, learn, and evolve. In becoming truly honest with ourselves and learning the practice of unknowing and non-attachment to the outcome, we are inviting new possibility and natural flow into our lives. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Begin with answering the call within, listening to the voice of your inner guidance. Fear of change is normal, but there are always ways to learn to overcome your fears and start acting on the guidance within that will lead you to your happiest life and natural way of being in the world. Do something fun, be playful, invite in your own divine spirit to come play for a while. It's springtime after all. And I just think that is such a powerful writing, and I think it beautifully expresses what the spring equinox can be about for all of us. And I hope that you all take some time to do as she suggested and sit with yourself and make a commitment to begin to listen to your internal guidance and allow that to be your navigation, especially with that Mercury, Jupiter, and Pisces energy coming on the heels of the equinox. Allowing that to be your internal guidance, to be the navigation that leads you forward during this springtime and helps you reconnect with a joyful expression of who you truly are. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my channel, please subscribe, and I will see you at the next video. Take care.